Hello my friends, welcome to another video from Solid Visual. I am Dominic, and in this video I'm going to show you how to effectively use Google Earth images within ArchiCAD for your site exploration and analysis, and potentially create stunning and incredible site plan presentations you see on your screen. If you're completely new to ArchiCAD or you have a bit of a background, don't worry, you are covered. Subscribe if you haven't, and thank you for the returning subscribers. We really appreciate your effort to this channel. With that being said, let's jump straight into ArchiCAD. Alright, the first thing that we need to do is to find or locate our site within the Google Earth. I'm using a Pro version, an installed version in the desktop. You can use the web version. I'll show you the both settings for the web and then the installed version. So I'm gonna expand this a bit and then search for the location that I'm gonna use for this demonstration. I'll just search for this, then hit enter. Should go all the way to the site. I'll zoom in and identify the site. I'll go with this area here. Yes, this area. You can pan by clicking on the left side of your mouse to pan around if you are completely new to Google Earth, just for you to familiarize yourself with the navigation. So once you're done with the choosing or locating the site to use, I'm going to run through some basic settings so that we can really extract high quality images within our Google Earth. The first thing that you need to do is to go down below here on the left bottom corner, and then I'm going to get rid of some of the elements here. So things like placed labels, let's get rid of the labels. And then I'm gonna get rid also for the borders labels, because I just want a clean image. So I'm gonna get rid of everything literally. So even the roads, let's get rid of that. 3D buildings, I just want a flat image, and more as well. Okay, this was the railway line and the terrain. Okay, so let's just zoom in back again. Yes, this is the site we want. Perfect. Once you're done with those settings, let's go to the top menu bars under tools and scroll down here under options. We want to get to the options settings. The first thing to do here is to make sure the units of measurements adheres to what you are using, your standards. So in this case, I'm going to use meters and kilometers for my region standards, and then I'll use the filtering to be high, and the anti-aliasing also should be on high. Okay, and yes, there are a couple of parameters or settings you can run through here. Like for your navigation, you can increase the fly through speed of your animation, or you can go also here under the general, and there are a couple of elements that you can also set there. But once you are done with this, you can apply and then hit OK to apply the changes. All right, so in order for me to export this, I need to also to reference the distance of one element that I will use it in ArchiCAD to really scale or resize my image within ArchiCAD. So it's very important, guys, to understand that. So I'm gonna pick the ruler or the measure tool, and then I'm going to zoom in maybe somewhere. I'm going to use the width of this building to reference with. So I'm gonna start from this corner. Oh, sorry, I don't think it's accurate. Let me start it. Okay, I'll zoom in with your wheel mouse, and then activate the ruler. I'm going to pick right on the corner there. Click on the corner, then specify the second corner again. So the distance here is 0.2 kilometers. I want it to be on meters. So in meters is 22.89. Bear in mind, in ArchiCAD, I'm going to use a different unit standard, which is going to be in millimeters, but it's fine. I can just do the conversion within ArchiCAD. Just now, what is important is to write it down or have this in your back of mind. Then I can get rid of this by clicking on that. So let's zoom out again. The next thing to do again is to get the coordinates of this site that we can also export and import it within ArchiCAD. It's very important, guys. I just want to show you all the possibilities that you can really manipulate within Google Earth and ArchiCAD. So I'm going to go to this menu or this icon here of the add place mark. Let's click on that, and then I would name this site. There's a name parameter here. Let's name this to site for now, and then I can drag this position to here. This will be the exact position of the site because I'm dealing with this area there, but also I need the context, the road network, the access points for the site, stuff like that. So they're very important. So I will need the extents or the context of the site as well. So I just name it 9. Site is the name, and then you have your latitude and longitude, which is a very imperative information within ArchiCAD. We can export this information and import it, like I said, in your ArchiCAD. So let's hit OK to apply those changes. Once we are done with this, let's save the image first, and then we export this information to ArchiCAD. To save the image, I would get rid of this icon here by coming here under places and then uncheck the box for the place, right? Once we're done with that, let's go to file and save place as, right? No, sorry. We need to save the image first. I'm going to go to file and then save image, or Control Alt plus S in your keyboard, then save. So it will give you this kind of options here. It will that couple of map options to choose from in terms of how you can do. Now I just want a satellite image, which is what I'll get from this default parameters. The next important part is the resolution. We can click on this, and I want to use the maximum resolution for this, which is this 8 to, or you can just go for 8K, but let's just go for the sake of this, I'll just go with the maximum what I can get. Once you are done with this, you can hit save image button, which is here. Then it will locate you to the folder to save your image. I'm gonna just save it on the desktop. Let's just give it a name, which is site, then save. Google Earth will take a bit of some seconds to export your image because I'm using a high resolution image. It will take a bit of time. We can pause the video and then come back once it's done. Okay, once the video is done, the image is done, we need also to export the coordinates. So I'll go back here under the places section and then activate the site like that, and then I'll double click on this. It's either you double click on this, or you right click on this site and then go to properties, and you can copy these elements, copy and paste it in ArchiCAD location settings, but that will take time. So the best way is to cancel this, and then I'll close again this image saving, and then go here under file, let's find save place as. I'm gonna save this place as, or Control S in your keyboard. So the parameter or the file type is very important. By default it will come as KML or KML, sorry, format, but in ArchiCAD it only accepts KMZ format. So let's just make sure we are in the correct format there, KMZ. Then hit save. I'm gonna save also in the desktop. Let's just save. This won't take time to save. Okay, so once you're done there, we need to go into your ArchiCAD and see how we can reuse this information. So I'm gonna show you again the settings when you're using the web version. For the web version, go to earth.google.com and you'll access your Google Earth. So I'm gonna use the same site. Let's go for the same site, and so this will depend on the speed of your internet. Let me just cancel this. This is the site that I've been using from the Google Earth Pro. Okay, also here it's very important to run through some settings. You see here we've got this little button there. You can click on that to drop menu so that you can access all the menus of, or the main menus of your engine. So if you go to tools and then go to settings, or just hit Control plus to access your settings. One of the most important part is to scroll down and find the display settings. By default it will come at here in terms of the rendering quality, so make sure it's at the highest quality, your rendering, so you can extract high quality images. And then you scroll down again, there are different application theme you can use. In this case I'm using a dark theme. You can go for a light theme depending on your preferences. I think this might be helpful to you as well. And then once you're done with that, you can hit done to apply the changes. Another important part is at the left bottom corner there is a layer button. So if you click on this, it will give you all the parameters for all the elements within your Google Earth. By default it will come as everything. You have everything loaded like this, but what you want is to have a clean image to export to your ArchiCAD, because we don't need too many things in ArchiCAD. So you better switch off your 3D coverage, your 3D buildings, your roads, network, stuff like that. So you can just do it by using this layer for clean. No borders, labels, places, or roads. Just click on it, it will get rid of everything. Once you're done with that, you can close. You can also collapse this, and the most important part here now is to export this into ArchiCAD. You can do either by using a PDF or a JPEG form. So a PDF, you can go to these three little dots here at the top right corner of your Chrome, and then find print, or you can just hit Control P in your keyboard. It will give you this print properties, and I would just start with the destination feature, whereby you have to use save as PDF. By default it will come as a Microsoft print to PDF. This will limit you because it doesn't have much of options in terms of the paper size. So if you go here under more settings, under paper size, you have up to A3 size. So if you're using the save as PDF, you can go up to A0 size. So if you go to A0, for example, you can only fill it. It's better you fill it with this instead of just having it as here on taking almost less than a half of portion of your paper. So you can control this by increasing the size, the scale. So by default it will come as a default in terms of the scale. You need to change it to custom so that you can change the value here. Unfortunately, you can only go up to 200, right? So if you're using a big paper size like A0, it's going to cut or occupy this only small portion of your paper. So I can use A1, which is perfect for this. I can also increase this margins as well. You can say none. I think it will be better using A2, right? Because it will fill in. Yes, I'm correct. I'm right. You can use A2, and then from there you can save. Once you are done, you can save this PDF. I'll save it in desktop again. Or another way is to save a JPEG. A JPEG is just to screenshot your screen. For example, you can just whatever there are different types of or different applications for screenshotting. I'm using Windows. Of course, I'm gonna use the default screenshot window or screenshot application, which is the snipping tool. If you're using Mac, I know there's another built-in screenshot application to use as well. So just print. If you're using the Windows, you can just print, and I'll draw the region that I want to screenshot, stuff like that. Perfect. Okay, so that's basically the two different Google Earth versions, the web versions and the installed versions, the pro versions. And these are the basically the settings that you need to run through in order for you to get the optimum results. So I now have the two images. Let's just locate those images. I have the images, which is this that I've screenshot. This is from the Google Earth. You can see the quality. I can zoom in really and get high resolution or depth to the image. So the first thing that we need to do before we export this image to ArchiCAD, let's crop it into a square or whatever. I'm just gonna reduce it because I don't want to cater for too many things in ArchiCAD. So I just want to crop the side context around the side boundary. So I'm gonna use this edit image. You can use different applications to crop, but I find it easier and faster to use Windows default cropping images. Cropping application. So I can just do this, crop it from this to there, something like that, and have it neatly done like that. I can just save this as a copy. I can save this as a copy. Again, I'm gonna save it right on the, all right, I'll just say side copy. Okay, so I can still zoom in and appreciate the quality of the image. So once you're done with this, let's go back to our ArchiCAD. All right, so I'm going to open a new file to start everything from scratch. I'm going to use a default ArchiCAD template and then hit on new. By the way, talking about the ArchiCAD template, we have a robust ArchiCAD template that we've set for the professional level results. So check the link on the description if you want to get that template and optimize your workflow. So for this, I'm going to say don't save because I already have it. So let's just wait for our ArchiCAD to open. You can also check the link for all the resources that we create to support the ArchiCAD users and architecture profession in general. Check the link to access our store and get all the resources that will really propel and optimize your workflow and skyrocket your results in delivering project. So once we've done with the new canvas for ArchiCAD, we need to bring that image here. So I'm gonna go to the desktop, find the image, which is this one that has been cropped. I'm gonna drag and place it within the file. Just drag and place it there. Yeah, this will be the image. The first thing to do because we're not, it's just an image, so it doesn't have a scale whatever whatsoever. We need to scale this down or scale this to reference. Remember the distance we've measured in Google Earth, we were referencing this width of the building. Okay, so if I measure this using the measure tool at the top menu of your interface, or hit M in your keyboard, if you click on it and then measure this, you would see it doesn't reflect what we measured within Google Earth. We need to match up this measurements. Okay, to do that, we're going to use what you call resize in ArchiCAD. So the best way is to select the image like I selected it like this, and then go to edit, then go down below, you would find the reshape parameters, and then find resize, or hit Ctrl Shift K in your keyboard to access these parameters. And then once you have this window here, don't bother anything there, just hit OK and zoom in to your width or your measurement, and pick the first point like we measured in Google Earth, and then identify the second point. Right, once you've identified these 2 points in the tracker, you see we need to key now the reference distance, which is going to be 22.89 meters. But here by default ArchiCAD comes as, I'm using an international version of ArchiCAD, so of course the units will be in millimeters. So I'm going to convert that 22.89 meters into millimeters, which is going to be 289,000. Right? Yes, this is more like, yes, it's 22 meters, right? And then hit enter. Once you've keyed in the information, you'd see now your image will be resized. So you can confirm by again hit M in your keyboard, or go up to the top of your interface and click on measure. If you measure to cross check, it's really 22.8 or whatever meters. Now it won't be that accurate, but it will be precise enough for us to work with. It will be plus or minus 100 millimeters, which is around one centimeter. Okay, so it doesn't really matter that much for your site, but that's basically how you can start manipulating images within ArchiCAD from Google Earth. Okay, so once you're done with this, what we need to do now is to bring in our mesh. We're gonna retrace this using a mesh. I'm going to activate the mesh tool on the design tool palettes. So if you scroll down here, you would find a mesh tool, and I'm going to change by default ArchiCAD. Once you activate the tool, it will give you the parameters on the info box. The most important parameter here is the settings dialog, where you can open and access almost everything in terms of the tool or the mesh, for example. So I'm going to focus more on the geometry method, where I want just to draw to trace this square using my mesh. So I'm going to activate the rectangular method because I just want to draw this mesh or place this mesh using 2 points instead of this one will use multiple points. In this case, it's going to be 4 points. So this is going to be a rotated rectangular if you want to rotate or to draw a rotated square, for example. So I'm gonna just stick to rectangular, then I'll click the first point on this corner and then diagonally identify or specify the second corner. Boom, that's all. So by default ArchiCAD bring or the mesh element is filled with hatch that sometimes can be annoying, so I need to cancel the operation or the command by hitting on the arrow, on this arrow, or escape in your keyboard, so that you can now select elements. So if you're new to ArchiCAD, make sure after completing the placement of element or any command, you have to escape or hit on arrow. I think it's common to across all the applications, so it's very important. So I can select this element and then under the info box here, let's find the floor plan and section. Then click on that. Get rid of the cover fill. The cover fill here is active. So if you say get rid of the cover fill, you would see a clean now mesh. So ideally, you would want to have this image embedded in your mesh, so that when you go to the 3D, you would have also that being referenced here, which is gonna be very interesting. We're gonna cover that in the next session. So the most important part here, again, before we move to that, is the coordinates. Remember, we extracted the coordinates from Google Earth. We want them to reference or to be referenced here on this file. So there are different ways of doing it. Like I said, you can copy paste the latitudes and longitudes within your ArchiCAD location settings. So let's go to the location settings. You can go to documents to access that and scroll down. No, sorry, it's not the documents. I don't know what I've smoked. So let's go to options, right? And then project preferences. You would find down below here the location settings. Click on that. You would see you have latitude and longitude of the file. So you also have the time zone that you can also reference to. In this case, I'm gonna pick the time zone of my region. Let me find something that will resonate with my region here. I know there's Harare, there's Windhoek. Yes, I can go with Windhoek. There should be Johannesburg or Cape Town. These are region. I'll go with Windhoek. Okay. And again, you can also manipulate this by showing in Google that ArchiCAD really hasn't really much worked well with this feature. I think for the next coming versions, they will improve the operation of this feature. So I have the time zone keyed in, and then what I need to do is to bring in the latitude and longitude. Like I said, you can copy paste this in ArchiCAD from the Google Earth. For example, you can say right click and check the properties of your site, then copy the latitude, then go to your ArchiCAD and paste it there, stuff like that, and then go back and copy the longitude, and it's times wasting, right? We exported the KMZ file. Remember, how do you import this file within here and override this longitude and latitude? So you can come here under import, then change the file type as KMZ, which is Google Earth file. Your desktop is the location for the file. This is the KMZ. Hit open. It says the place mark altitude is not specific. It's not specified in the absolute mode. Only the longitude and the latitude will be imported. That's exactly what we want. We can hit OK to import them. So these are now imported. We can hit OK. One thing that is important again is the symbol type for your north point. It's very important. You can define this manually, but I see it using the latitude and longitude, a best way of doing that. So you see now the north angle is 90 degrees and it corresponds with the image from Google Earth, right? So if we go back to Google Earth here, you'd see our north is right up there, which is addressing to the or adhering to the latitude and longitude of our, or the coordinates of our site. So I find this very useful, guys. I needed to share with you that. And again, you can also change this the symbol type for your coordinates or for your north point, and then hit OK. Then we are fine. You can make your north point visible within the file as well by going back to options, project preferences, and then let's say show survey point. It will be shown here, so it will be more like interactive, as you can see. So now it's visible in your if you go back again and change the symbol type, you can play around with the symbol type under location settings, and maybe you can go with this one, something like that. These are little things, I know, but sometimes people need to know all these features, what is available around that. Okay, so once we're done with this, so now we have all the coordinates imported or embedded in our file. What we need to do now is to transfer this 2D information or this image or the map into our 3D mesh, right? The first thing that I need to do is to increase the depth of our mesh. I'm going to select the element and then go to the info box. Here you can scroll your mouse and find the bottom and top where we can key in the height of our mesh. In this case, I'm going to make it, let's make it, I'm saying the value that will be significant, 20 meters is fine. We can go for maybe 30 meters, which is 3,000, or 30,000 millimeters. Okay, so that's basically this. Now let's see how you can bring or embed that map into the 3D is by creating a surface, the surface that we're going to override this green surface. So if you click here and then go to the settings dialog, you would see this top surface or this green surface you see on your element has been overridden here. Okay, so we're going to create a surface that will come and choose it from the list and override this top part of our mesh. Let's hit OK, and then to create that surface we're going to use the same image, which is this image. So I'm going to go back again on 3D to create that surface. Let's go to options menu, element attributes, and then find surfaces. So here what we need to do is to create a new surface. I like or advise you guys to respect the hierarchy or the structure on how the surfaces have been created within ArchiCAD. Don't replace and just add to the list, and add according to how the list is being structured. Okay, so in this case I'm dealing with an earth kind of surface, so I'm going to search for earth first, right? And then select this earth and then go down below here and create or duplicate this surface. It will give me earth dash brown 1 because it's a duplicate for this top part. So I'm gonna just override or rename the brown part and then say map. I'll say site map. Okay, and then once you're done with this, select it and then come here at the bottom of your settings dialog and go to the texture section. We're gonna replace this texture with the one that we've created, or the map. So let's hit on the browse and go to the add and locate it from the desktop. This is the image that we're going to use, and then hit open. Wait just a second for it to load here, and then you can hit OK to apply it to your texture preview. There we go, we have it there. So what we need to do now is to have this measurements to adhere with what we have within our file. So I'm going to hit OK and then go back to the ground. You can either do it here on 3D or the ground because this represents the size of the image as well. So I can just go here and then type or hit M to measure, or just click on this measure tool, pick it from this corner and then to there. So it's around 5. This is 53 meters, right? No, it's, yes, I can have this information written down so that I can go back to the element attributes. Oh, sorry, let me just hit escape. You see, if you don't complete or cancel the command or the tool, you would have elements without accessible like this. They will be grayed out because there is an active command that needs to be cancelled or deactivated. So I need to hit escape or cancel it using the arrow, and then I can go back now, element attributes, then surfaces. We need to key in or make the measurement to address what we've measured there. So I think that was the vertical height, which is going to be 539,501, okay, which is 53 meters. So it needs to be, oh, sorry about that, I need to lock this in order for it to be proportionally adjusted. Okay, so make sure you lock this part and then do it again. 539,501, hit OK. So it should be applied. So this side will be automatically changed. If you hit OK and select this image and apply the select this element and apply the image on top, let's go to the settings and then also change this to our newly created surface, which is Earth sitemap, and then hit OK. That will be applied into your surface. It will be horribly looking for the first time. You need now to align the image to the mesh. How do you do that? You go to documents and then find down below creative imaging and align 3D texture. We're going to set this to the origin. We're going to click on this and make sure you pick the bottom corner or each corner or maybe one corner. Just click it. It will automatically adjust the image according to what you have on the floor plane. So now we have both in the floor plane and 3D image addressing the same thing. This is very powerful, guys, because you can now start to manipulate your site by tracing. You can do some test simulations on your site, and you can schedule a lot of elements that we're gonna do in the next course of this tutorial. So if you go back to the ground plane, let's see how best we can manipulate this map in ArchiCAD. So I'm going to start with the road networks. So there are different ways of tracing this in ArchiCAD, or just drawing or placing or creating a road in ArchiCAD. You can either use the slab tool or the mesh tool, but in this case it's going to be very inefficient to use a slab or a mesh tool to trace all this. It's going to take you time to complete this. So you need a perfect or an efficient tool to do this. I'm going to use the beam tool out of context. You can also use a wall tool, but wall tool also has its own limitations. But in this case, let's activate the beam tool and then focus on the geometry method. Make sure the chained method is active. So what I need to do is to start all over by tracing from here, and I'll go points by points like that. I can just go point by points, or I can create just one element and then later come and change the geometry or convert the curve into arc. So in this case, I'm gonna just draw something like that and something like so. Right click, hit OK. Then I'll start at the top there and hit escape, select the element, select the blue reference line and convert this into a curve edge like so, and do the same. See, here is not that perfect. If you're wondering with the size of my beam, make sure you you scroll in your wheel here and then change the cross section, most especially the bottom parameter, change it to the width of the road. I can just measure and confirm within here it's around 11. Here is around 11.8. yes, there. Let's see, here is 7. Yes, it's around 7. Where it's 7, I'll keep it 7. Where it's 8, I'll keep it 8. So I need to segment my road into 2 parts. Here it's small, I'll add a new point. Let's add a point here and I'll add another point somewhere there, and then another point to be here if you really want to be very accurate, but I don't think it's that unnecessary at this point, but just for you to understand. Okay, this one will still remain as it is, and this, so that means this is going to be, I can measure here, this is just a 4.5, let's just make it 5 meters. Okay, and then this one is roughly 9 meters. I'll give it 9 meters. No, it won't work with this, but it should work. I'll show you how to connect these two. So to connect the two different sizes of your beam, I would select this one and make sure this side it reflects the 9 meters. So if you go to the settings, we have under the segment section, we have this tapered size of your beam. So I can click on this arrow. So these are the parameters of tapering, the start and the end. We want to do the end, which is going to be 9 meters. Okay, so as you see, even on the previous screen, that's what we want. We can greatly join the rows like that. Okay, I don't know, 9 meters I think is too much. Let's just reduce this to maybe 7 meters. Do the same to this one. Go back to the settings, click on this arrow under tapered, make this 7 meters, hit enter, hit OK. Right, so this will be like that, and I think make sure the points, you adjust this to there, and then this one, it looks thicker here. Maybe it's the one that can be 9 meters, something like that. And then I'll change this one, this side, to be also 9 meters. Convert this into a tapered, then change the end to 9 meters. Hit enter, then hit OK. Stuff like that. You see how best Beam tool can give you options within tracing the roads. So same applies to this one. When it gets here, it narrows. When the road gets here, it narrows, and then there it's also, yes, let me change this to, maybe make sure it's there. Change this to 9 meters. Open, tapered this time around is going to be on the starting point. It's the one, 9 meters. Then hit enter. There we go. We go here. This also needs to be converted into a curve, like that. Here it's fine. Then we need to change this into also a curve, but curve doesn't really work well with tapered beams. So I'm going to just to find relatively something like this. Okay, I hope ArchiCAD improves this going forward, because you cannot taper a curved beam. So in this case, we need to taper it from here to there. It means this is roughly, or maybe I can just move it all the way to somewhere here, because the tapered starts somewhere there. And then I can add a point. Let's add a point right on the center, something like that. Like I said, if you want to be accurate, you can add as many points as you can, but for the sake of this, I don't think we need as many points, right? So the width of this road here is roughly 20 meters. So I'm gonna select this and make it 20 meters. Make it 18. Okay, so this one I'm going to taper it. Let's go to the settings, taper it. I think this should be the end. Should be 18 meters. Hit OK, something like that. And then this I'm going to taper it from the start. Let's go back here from the start, make it 18 meters. Perfect. You see how quick I could manipulate this and create a stunning road. So if you check on 3D, you would have something like that. Wow. Perfect. So if we were to use what you call the beam, I mean the slab or mesh tool, is going to take you ages to complete this. All right. And again, you can refine your edges. You see, these joints are not, you can chamfer them or fillet them. Let's fillet them by maybe 20 meters. Something like that. Let me see. Okay, it's fine. I don't think that will help that much. So let's continue do the other road. I would quickly again activate the beam tool and make sure you are under the geometry, the change geometry method. Start from there. This one would go across. When it gets here, it grows. When it gets here, it narrows. And then this one becomes a curve. From here becomes a curve. Then here it grows. It's tapered all the way to there. Okay, so I'll convert this into a curve like that, and start doing the magic. So this would grow. Let's grow this by, we can measure from this distance to there is 12 meters. We make it 12. Yes, maybe somewhere there. I'll push it all the way to here. Perfect. I think so that the taper can start where it is. Same to this one. Let's push it to somewhere there so that the taper size can start. Move it there. Okay, so let's do the magic of tapering. So this one, we need to taper the end. Open the settings, then taper. Go here, we taper the end, should be 12 meters. Hit enter to apply the changes. So it looks huge. I think we need to divide this into two. Let's add a point somewhere. I'll add a point here. Yeah, stuff like that. Add a point here, and then this we need to make it non-tapered. So we can go to the settings, get rid of the taper, hit enter, so that we can taper only this one. Let's taper the start of this to be 7 meters. The starting point to be 7 meters. Hit enter so that we can have a smooth connection of the two. This one you can just modify the points like that. Oh, we have this little bit of we can try to fix this by doing that, or maybe fillet. Okay, it doesn't really, it's not a big problem. We can adjust it later if we want. And then we need to taper also this one to be, we taper the start point. Start point should be 12 meters, like that. It's a curve. It's very difficult to taper a curve. Curve doesn't taper, to increase proportionally the entire length of your beam. So the best thing is to add a point and divide it into two. I'll add a point somewhere here, then continue with this curve. Let's change this to curve, like so, and select this, taper the start. I'll taper this from the start to be 12. Hit enter. Perfect. So we have that, and we go down below here, we taper this, which is going to be tapered on the end. That is going to be, I didn't measure, let me cancel and measure the distance. The width here is 23 meters, so I'm gonna taper the end to be 23 meters. Perfect. So if we check on 3D, you have something like that. Isn't this great, guys? So let's go ahead and complete the other rows. I'll go start with these ones. These ones are easy because there are no more tapering. As you could see, it's just the same width of the road. So I'm gonna activate the beam tool, and see this one is just a bend. I'm gonna start from this point and then go all the way to here and join it to there. Right click, hit OK, and select this, convert into an arc, like that. Then select this, also convert it into an arc, something like this. So I'll do the same with the other one. From here I can copy the, but I don't want to copy, and then this to join it there, convert this into an arc, do the same to this one, take it from the reference point, convert it to an arc. So make sure they don't, just move it somewhere here. Yes, let's see, make sure they are nicely done. Okay, so we have the ones that joins the main road from the coming from this side, and then the one from the other side. So I could just pick the parameter of this, and then by the look of things it's much smaller. Let's see, it might be 5 meters. I'm gonna change 7 to 5 meters width of this road, and then I'll start from this point all the way to here, and then I would have a bend there. So I'm gonna convert this into an arc. This will be right there. I'll pick the parameters of this, start it all the way from maybe there, so that it can, I'm starting all the way from the reference point so that you can connect nicely with the main road. So then do it to somewhere here, to somewhere there. Then we're gonna have a curve there. So let's select this to turn it to a curve. This, we might add a point, maybe a curve somewhere there. Perfect. So if you check on 3D, you'd see very amazing results, guys. Okay, we have some glitterings, which is this side, but we can control this. For example, maybe moving this relatively closer there. Yes, same applies to this one. Pick this point and move it relatively somewhere there to get rid of that. This one we might also reduce or maybe put it somewhere there. Wow, this looks more interesting to solve. Let me see. Yes, something like that. Perfect. Great. So that's basically, that's the intersection literally. And we still have this issue here. We can bring it back. Nice one. Nice one. Okay. So by the matter of no time, I'm already done. So let me complete the other ones. Go back to the ground, and I would pick, see, from here to all the way to this side. Let's activate and make sure this time around it's 7 meter wide, and I would start it from here. Then I'm gonna start here because here we have a bend, and then we have a straight line that goes all the way there. We have a bend here all the way to, I think this could go all the way to here, and then goes outside. And then if you select this, we can add a little bit of a curve somewhere there. This, we're gonna convert it into a curve. It has to be a proper curve. I don't know, maybe reduce this to something like that. Perfect. I think it's well sound. Also convert this one into a curve. Perfect. So let's pick parameters, and then we have a junction here. The junction, can we say from this point, right, goes all the way to here. We have a curve there. We go all the way to there. We have a curve here. We go all the way to the main road. We go that side. Convert this one into a curve. Right. So this we can also fillet if you want, but I can convert this one a bit to a curve. Maybe fillet these ones by 7 meters. Oh no, let's make it 12 meters, just to have a smooth road. And then I'm going to complete by joining this one all the way to here. It has a curve. It has a curve there, and then we have the bend to this direction. We have another bend to the other direction. So let's bend this a bit, then bend this one. Like those are all bends. Confirm on 3D because these bends can be a troublesome. Perfect. I like the intersection. Okay, what else? Okay, we have this last one. Just for the sake of this demonstration, guys, I'm gonna try to complete. I'll start from there all the way to there. Perfect. But this looks like we have a bend here, so I'm gonna start it from there all the way to here, then convert this into an arc. So confirm in 3D. Perfect. We have that. Nice. Okay. Nice. We've completed all the road network in some minutes. We have this little joining to the main road here. Let's do that. I'm gonna start it from there, and then we have, start from here. We have a little bit of a curve there, goes all the way, and then it goes to the main road here. We have another one, a curve there. So convert this to a curve, but it looks small. I'm gonna change it to, because it's a one-way road, maybe it should be 4.5. Am I right? This one also is going to be 4.5. Then let's convert it into a curve. So we have, this should be two-way road, which is 7 meters, right? 7 meters, okay. But the thing, this needs to be addressing this width, so I'm going to move this a bit there. Same applies to this one. Let's move it across so that we can have a clean connection. Let's confirm in 3D. Perfect. So for this, I need to select these two, and then I'm going to chamfer or fillet them by maybe 20 meters. 20 meters is small. I can increase to 35. Perfect. That's basically what we have. And then the connection here needs to be correct as well. It needs to be accurate. So I'm going to stretch this all the way to the midpoint or to the reference line so that it can automatically clean up the joints like that. Okay, but by the look of things, we have a curve here that is going to be a single lane, which is going to be 4.5. Maybe I can start from the way and then to somewhere here, convert to that. Perfect. If you check on 3D, we have that. Number one. Great. Oh, we still have another one there. I'm enjoying this now because it's very important, guys, to come up with the better way of being efficient in ArchiCAD. So I see this as a value, guys, to you, and you need to really I need to take this one as well to here. You need to really embrace this, my friends, because it will save you time. I know there's some project that you have to do a huge chunk of your site. Maybe you are involved in visualization of a master plan. That's how you manipulate the road networks. Look, I've created this in no time. And the good part of the complex profile, the beam, you can use what you call complex profile and to add markings and other elements of your road. This is super. Okay, so that's basically what I wanted to share with you. We still have another bends there with this intersection as well. That is starting from this to there. We have one from here to there. So I'm gonna bend this, bend that. Okay, so confirm on 3D. Perfect. So that's basically that. That's basically it in terms of the road network and the rest. The railway, you can also try to use the same method with the beam. The beam I'm gonna use, you can also create a profile for the rail lines as well. So but for this demonstration I won't do that. I'll focus only on the road networks and that. But you need that, right? You need that because it's right close to your site. So I'm gonna just draw a line there for the railway, something like this. Yes, and then you can create a profile for that I won't do for this demonstration. So basically this is your road networks for your site. Okay, the next chapter we'll be looking at now manipulating the site or massing the site context buildings. That is very important. And then use zones to really focus on the buildings that are within the site and try to schedule and extract data such as areas, volumes, height of these parameters, stuff like that. We'll see. Let's continue with the manipulation of the site, and this time we're going to create the context, the buildings that are around our site, and then the actual buildings within the site. But we need to define the extent of our site here on the 3D. I'm going to go to the ground, then draw by using a polyline. For example, I'm going to go to the document and then activate the polyline. And what we need to do is to get the geometry within this, because the site is within this area here. If I can get a magic wand, yes, it will work. So if you press and hold the magic wand key, which is the spacebar key in your keyboard, you can get the region of this and click within the region, your polyline will be applied. So I can select the polyline or activate the polyline tool and then hit Ctrl A to select the polyline if you are getting trouble or difficulties to select it. And then from there I can pick one of the points. Then I'm going to offset a little bit from the roads. Normally you have the distance between or the gap between the road and the plot boundary, which is roughly, I'll make it 5 meters in this case, which is 5,000. There we go. And I can change the line type to be or represent the site plot by using a dash double line type. By the look of things, it doesn't show because of the scale. Zoom in and you can see even there. It's because we are working on 1:100 scale, but we're dealing with site. Site normally you use the upper, your bigger scales like 1:500. So if you had to select or open, because I'm working from the project map, so if you come here under the view map where you have the site view, if you click on it and you see now you have that it's the scale here is around 1:500. The thing is about all the things will disappear because of those elements. The layers are inactive under this layer combination. So if you go to options and elements attributes, layers, you'd see under site the road is under the structural bearing element, which is this layer that is off. We can create a new layer and assign those things under the, let me just create a new layer and then call it road network, right? And then this layer should be active under the site layer combination. Make sure you update once you've done that, and then you hit OK. I'm going to create another layer for buildings, or maybe let me say is buildings, and then also should be active under this layer combination, and make sure you update, then hit OK once we've done that, so that we work on the appropriate scale. So if I don't know why. So if I go to the ground, okay, and select all these elements, I'm gonna activate the beam tool and then hit Ctrl A to select all the road network, and then assign it an appropriate layer for road network. If you go to the site view, you would see we have our road. Okay, we have our road on site. Because it's a beam, it's been optimized to just show a line as you see here, but we want them to show even its width. Okay, that is because of what you call model view options in ArchiCAD. So if you go here under views, you'd find elements in 3D. Sorry, I'm smoking something today. So if you go to view and supposed to be documents, right? Yes, documents, and then model view options. You see, we're under site because that's been keyed into this view, which is the site view that uses a layer combination of a site. If you see here under properties, the layer combination of this is site. I don't know if you want me to create a separate video for explaining layers and layer combinations, how to create views, different views using a view map from the project map. Let me know in the comment section, guys, because I know it can be a very complicated topic to address. So I will save model view options. You would see we have these view options that are listed here. We have drafting and then building plans. So if I select site, you see all these elements adheres to what have been addressed to show whatever properties. So we're dealing with beams right now. So if you go here under construction elements options, and then we have a beam, you see here it says we're gonna only show the axis only, which is the reference line of our beam. So you want it to show the contour and axis. You want to see the full beam, and then if you hit OK, you can see now our beam in full. Okay, it's very important. Let me know if you want me to do a separate video on the layer combinations and layers, model view options, graphic override combinations, because this is one of the things that can cause headache especially in beginners, because if you don't use them again, you are missing out a lot. So you really need to understand how this functions, because you can manipulate and use it at your advantage. Okay, so now once we have this, we can start by doing our I already drew the plot boundary line, but if you get on 3D, you cannot show the lines on 3D. Okay, so I don't know why it's not showing on that 3D. So 3D is dependent on the previous view. So if I go to my queue, and then I'm going to draw a rectangle my queue here, right click and show my queue in 3D, it will give you all the elements. Okay, so what I was saying is you cannot see 2D lines or 2D elements within your 3D window. So in order for us to project this, the boundary, because we need the plot boundary as well to be represented on 3D. So we can either use a wall tool. For example, I can activate the wall tool and change the geometry method to this chained one, and I'm gonna change the structure to just the basic structure and set the width to be 300. It's fine. The height should be, I'm not gonna link the height, and then I'm going to have just a custom height of maybe, because this is just a boundary, maybe I can just say 500. Okay, and then I can open its settings. Let's override the surface to a vibrant color, which is going to be, I'm just going to go for paint yellow, and then apply it to all the surfaces, and then hit OK. So I'm going to activate the magic wand tool to use this line or polyline and apply. So we need to choose the line, because the layer, because the default layer for walls is structural bearing, that is hidden on the layer combination for the site, because we've created we're using the site now to work on. So I'm going to choose a different layer or create a new layer for site. So let's just cancel this, then go to elements, layer settings, and create a new layer for site boundary. Okay, and then make sure the layer is active under the site combination, then update, hit OK to apply the changes. So if you now change the layer for your wall to side boundary, you can, and then magic wand to apply it there. You'd see it's been applied. Okay, so in 3D you'd see something like that. Doesn't really show because of the thickness. So if you select all, suspend the groups to select all of them, then maybe you can change the width to, just for the sake of 3D representation, you can just make a width of this to be a meter. I think minus 200. Oh, sorry. Set it to be minus 200, something like that. So it's now visible here on 3D. If it's not interesting enough, let me show you the best way again to do it. So I'm going to go back here on the blend view, then I'm going to delete everything. So I'm going to delete everything. Let's just delete everything, and then I'm gonna recreate another wall, just a wall of maybe 4.5 meters length. Then hit enter there, right click, hit OK. I'm going to select this wall, set the width to be, just say 3 meters, something like this, just for the sake of representation in 3D. And then if you check on 3D, you would find something like this, right? And then I'm going to multiply this along the line or the polyline, okay, by using a path, what you call multiply with a path. So I'm going to select this element and then click on one of the points, and then I'm going to use the multiply command in the pet palette, right? And then make sure it's under drag, and then the graphical input method is increment and spread. We want to pick a path before input, and then also we want to rotate the elements to path as well. So hit OK, and then pick the path first, then you need to place it back. I can run now multiple copies of the same distance, okay, and then I can just draw it like that, oh sorry, let me start all over again, like that, and then, oh sorry, what's going on with this, like so, then finish it there. Okay, so I'm gonna take advantage of the selection, then add this by shift hold and add the first one, because the first one won't be part of the selection. The multiplied copies, it will be by default to be selected. So I want to just add this by shift hold and click on it, so that I can group this by going to edit and grouping and group, or control G in your keyboard. So let me unsuspend these groups, right? And then I can now fix this part, because yes, we need to fix it. Let me see, there's something like that, right? So I can select this again and then group them once again. So if you check on 3D, you would have something like this. It's much well represented than just having a solid line. Okay, so I think, yes, I needed to maybe share with you a better way of doing that. For this, I need to get rid of, let's just suspend groups, then get rid of this one, and then inspect the other curve as well. I think those ones are fine. Okay, perfect. And then you can also show some of the access to the plot, stuff like that, but I'll leave this later in later section where we'll be doing 3D documentation. I'll show you how to use 2D elements to annotate your 3D document. Okay, so let's move forward and create the existing building. So I'm gonna go back to the site, blend view, then I'm gonna start with this building. Roughly I can count how many stories, how many levels of this building. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. is 11, so it's going to be 11 multiplied by 10, so it's going to be 110 meters, right? So I'm going to select the slab, either use slab or zone, but the difference is here. I'm going to use the slab for the buildings that are around my site, and then the buildings that are within the site, I'm going to use a zone so that I can create a schedule for those. The schedule that can manipulate data as such as height of the building, the area of the building, volume, etc. So it's very powerful, guys. So I'm gonna just use a slab for the existing buildings that are in the context of my site, and then those are within, I'm going to use a zone tool. It's a strategy or a better approach of creating and communicating better your site. Remember, I talked about simulations and doing tests for your site exploration. It's very important. So what I need to do is to set my structure of the slab to be basic, and then change the layer. Remember, we created a layer for the new buildings. So for the new buildings, right, or just buildings, which is this, and I'm going to change the height of this to be like I said, this is 3 times, this is 1 2, it's 11, right? So if we say 3 meters, which is the height of the building, times 11, it gives me 33. I'll make it 50 high, 50 meters. So let's go for 50 meters. And then to draw a circle using a rectangle, it doesn't have those properties, okay? But we can try. I'll show you why. I'll start with this one. Make sure you start on the top, not on the base of your image. We're just tracing the top part of the roof part of your building. So I'm gonna start with this, and then instead of using geometry method of okay, I'm just gonna go with the square, do a square here. I'll do another square or rectangle there. We have another rectangle somewhere here, right? And then this side is an arc. So the arc, we're gonna use we either use a polyline like this, then convert this into an arc, something like that. And then I can pick this and offset a copy by hitting Control while you're still in your offset mode to add a plus, okay? And then from there you can close up this to use it for, I'm gonna close up this to use it for your slab. Do the same. Okay, I'm just gonna draw a line here because this needs to go all the way to there. Let me just draw a line here for the time being. I'll show you why I'm doing that. And then I'll pick this slab again, and then pick the region by using a magic wand key in your keyboard. Just press and hold the spacebar key, then click on the region of your 2 polylines, then click to add your slab like that. So I need to add this. Let me add this point. I'm going to add a point here, then this one going to go all the way to somewhere here. Some will be, I'm going to reference this point by hovering the cursor on top of this point. You would see cursor, you see your cursor being highlighted by a blue circle. That means you reference the point. Once you move your line like that, you to be you have the guidelines that to connect with 90 degrees like that. Perfect. So I need to join these 2 slabs. To join them, I can just pick this one and then pick one of the points. I'm going to add a polygon. So, and then activate the magic wand by press and hold your space bar, click on that. So it's been added, but you to leave the original element, which is going to be deleted. I'm going to delete it like that. In another, we need to also to combine or join this element, because at the end of the day, you just want one slab. It will be advisable just to have one element, because you don't want to have too many elements that will end up adding up to your file size. So I'm going to draw another rectangle that will go across like that, something like that, right? And then from there I'll join all this together into one. So I'm gonna pick this parameter and then magic wand, click on this element, do the same to this one, magic wand, and then add or combine with the main slab. Okay, so then I can get rid of the original elements like that. Another original element is this one. So in 3D, check on 3D, you'd see something like this. Okay, but it doesn't really show the depth or the height as we want it, because if you select this, you see it went beyond or down beyond your mesh. It's because the slab tool by default is being referenced from the top, because if it's a slab tool, remember you're creating a slab, the top part is always sits on 0. So even if you increase the height of the slab, the value will be a negative value. So it will be increasing the depth going down on the negative axis. So you need to change the reference plane location to be at the bottom in order for you to go on the positive side, which is this part. If you click on it, you see your element will be going up. So this is your element. I'm going to select it, then open the settings. Let's change or override the surfaces into a stucco white fine, or into just a paint. We just want a glossy white paint, and then make sure that all the surfaces are being affected. So hit OK. So we have that in 3D. So let's move on to the other building, which is this one. It's another interesting building that we have around our site. If you look at it, it has also multiple stories. I think it's the same height as this one. So, and if you go back here, so this building, if you look at on the Google, I think it's the Google map, we had a picture for the building somewhere there. If you search again, let's hope you see the building. That, yeah, this is the building we're talking about. The one that I just finished is this one. So this is the building that I want to do. You see, it's much taller than the one we just created. And then even the one that we just created, you could see it has some elements, some ribs around. We can also try to achieve that, to add depth to our elements. Okay, but for the sake of this, let's just leave it the way it is and then create another element there. So I'm gonna go to the top and to the plan view, and we have the circle, we have this stuff like that. I'm gonna pick parameters of this slab, and then I'm gonna trace over by using a polygonal method, because I just want to go points by points like this, tracing my building like that. And then this is going to be an arc. It's fine. I'm going to just stop somewhere here, and then I will have another point, because this is the tallest part of the building. So let's do this, and then this will be converted into an arc like that. Shouldn't go beyond the road, because that will be a problem. So if we check on 3D, we'll have something like this. Okay, maybe This is an arc as well. This is straight. This is an arc. This is an arc. We have another. I think this should be a square. I'm going to add another line from here that is going to be vertical. Yes, somewhere there. Okay, and then I'll have another point here going all the way to, sorry, from there to here, something like this. And then I'm going to pick one of the points and then subtract. I'm going to subtract it from the main element. This is going to be maybe 40 meters. Okay, and then we have this wing as well. I'm going to pick parameters of this and quickly trace over that. Something like this. It won't be accurate, but you get the point. And pick this point, convert this to an arc, then chamfer this 9 meters, maybe. No, it's too much. Let's undo and then do it maybe the 4 meters. Not bad. Do the same to this one. 3 meters. Nice. And yeah, so if we check on 3D, this is much lower than 3.5. I'll make it, than 40 meters. I'll make it 35 meters. If we check on 3D, we have something like this. Okay, and this part goes beyond 50, goes maybe to 60 meters. And this 50, just to add details to my building, stuff like that. Okay, that's basically what you can do in terms of the buildings. So we have another building, tall building here. I can just quickly do that on the plane view, activate the slab tool. This is going to be just a box drawn by a rectangle geometry all the way to there. We have another box here, then we have another giant box, something like that, that protrudes all the way to there, something like that. If we check on 3D, this, it's much smaller, maybe by 3.5, and this goes beyond to 4.5, something like that. Great. And we have other buildings here on the other side. So if you come here, this might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels. Okay, so I'm going to activate this. 5 levels is going to be let me say 3 point times 5 is going to be 15 to 20 meters. So my slab height is going to be 20 meters, and then draw this rectangle, another rectangle, another one there, the other one here, the other one here, the other one there, just quickly to represent this. And then we have another rectangle here that we have a chamfer on this edge of maybe 20 meters. This is a chamfer, not a fillet, something like that. And then they are joined here. This looks much lesser than 20 meters. Make 15 meters. Okay, so if we check on 3D, we have something of that nature. Perfect. We have another tall building here. This is just that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's more or less the same. If it has a roof of the top, because at the end of the day you want to add some details on your site models, because the different way of doing it, I like it to have depth, because at the end of the day you're gonna appreciate them from the top like that. So for example, if you look at this one, it has a roof that slopes from the other two sides. So if we had to do this, I'm gonna just draw it like so. We have another lap there, another lap here. So I'm going to drop these ones by 15. This is going to be 15. And then to draw this roof, or to add this roof, you're gonna use a roof tool that will be like yes, I'm gonna go with this one, or maybe this. No, let's go for the multi-plane roof, and I'm going to fill this with a roof which is like this. And for the sake of this, I'm gonna just use a basic structure, and it's a white model. What you want to do, let's get rid of the cover fill under floor plan and section in the info box, okay, so that I can pick these points and get rid of this all the way to this, do the same to this direction. So if we check on 3D, your roof will be that, make it go all the way to it's more like a hidden roof. I think even the angle doesn't go to 45, maybe it's 23. Now apply changes to custom, something like this, maybe goes all the way to here. And then the overhang, we don't have an overhang here. I'm going to get rid of the overhang on the settings. Where is the overhang? Let's say 0. Sorry about that. Should be on the inside, because it looks like they have a parapet wall that is around. Let's just bring it to the inside by a meter. Right, so that on 3D you find something like this. Great. We still have something on this roof as well. If you look at, okay, maybe just finish it off with these ones. This, I'm going to raise it to 25, which is going to be this here. Okay, so I'm done with the context buildings. Now it's to address the buildings that are within the site, because these are very important, because you would want to have the data of the buildings. So with the slab we are limited, but when it comes to the zone tool, we can create wonders. We can manipulate data on zone. So for example, let's go to the ground floor plan, and then let's activate the zone tool under the design tool palette. So if you say zone tool, and then the construction method is by default comes as the inner edge, because it's mainly used for the rooms or the spaces. So you'd want to pick the inner edges of the walls or whatever elements that are enclosing your space. In this case, I'm going to use this a rectangular method, not the rotated one, just the normal route. And then I can just draw. So it says the layer named module is hidden on this layer. I'm going to show that layer, and then I can draw that, and then I'll place the label. We have two buildings, just two buildings here, and then place the label. Okay, with these zones I want them to be transparent, so I'm going to select them and then open its settings. Within the settings, go under the floor plan and activate the cover fill. Change this to be airspace. Okay, and then hit OK. Oh, it didn't change because of the pen. The pen also needs to be transparent, right? Then hit OK. You would get this type of the zone. So if you check on 3D, you won't see that represented, because by default ArchiCAD doesn't show the zones on 3D, but these are, they have depth, for lack of better word. They have depth, and the reason I'm saying they have depth, for example, they can represent the size of the building. Or for example, if you say not linked, I believe this building might be a multiple story. I can make it height, let's make the height 15 meters. Okay, or I can just make it a tower for the sake of this demonstration. Let's just create this as a tower, or a tower of 80 meters, right? And then this, for this one, I'll just make a normal height of 25 meters. So like I said, on 3D you won't see this value that we've been defining. So they are, if you look at my interface here, it doesn't look like yours because of this 3D visualization tools that I brought here to manipulate and access different features of 3D tools. Like, in order for you to bring these 3D window tools, you go under the window and then tool palettes, you activate 3D visualization tool. So currently they are, at the moment they are off, but if I had to bring them back under window, tool back, and then activate 3D visualization tools, they will be here by default. Again, they will be floating in your interface like that, but I don't want this. I want them to be embedded within the interface, and that will create enough space, enough working space within my file. To embed it or dock it into your interface is just to double click under here, under this X, double click there, it will be embedded at the top there. Perfect. So like I was saying, this, it has this filter and cut elements in 3D. Yes, you can go here and find it. That will take you time, which is here, or Control Alt A. But to have just a one-click tool, I think it's important than going all the way and with many steps. So let's click on that, and then if you go down here under elements types to show in 3D, these are all the elements that are by default are showing in 3D. So all the elements except the zone tool are active, right? You can come here and activate the zone tool, or go at the top, say show all the tools. Okay, then hit OK. You would see your zone. I don't know why it's not showing. I can say show all in 3D. It's also not showing. I think it's because, let's go back under this filter and cut elements and make sure we do zone. Where is zone? It's here. Or because it's site, right? Because it's site, it's not showing. It's the layer that we've been addressing that we want it to show. If you go to the layer settings again by going to options, element attributes, or Control L in your keyboard, you would find, let's type zone. You see the layer is inactive under this site layer combination. Let's activate it here by doing that, and then activate it, and then make sure it's updated. Hit OK. You see now we have the zones showing in our 3D which is valuable because it has a lot of data to extract. Okay, to start with, I can select this. This will be, for example, we'll give it a name, a name, and then a number. Okay, we can say this is block A, right? Number 1 is fine. This is going to be block 2, number 2, right? Which is key, guys. And then from here, you see we have we can create a schedule. We can create a schedule. For example, let's say if you go down to the project map and then scroll down to schedules, you'd find schedules here. We have elements. We can right click and then say scheme settings, right? Under scheme settings, we can create a new schedule. Let's just create a new schedule, and then we say maybe what can we say about this area rooms? Let me just see. I would say building schedule, right? For the sake of this demonstration, you can come up with a lot of data parameter, and then the ID will be BS as a code for this. Hit OK, and then under the criteria, because we want to schedule elements here, what kind of elements are we scheduling? We are scheduling zones. We need to identify that, which is going to be zones. Okay, so if you go down below here under fields, fields are the columns of your table. Okay, so we need to add fields, or those columns. The first column will be the zone. We want the zone number, right? There, it's going to have I don't want a general parameter. I just want the zone number for the parameter, and then I would want the zone name, which is going to be a description. Or you can just click and then go under zone section and then find those zone name is here. We can go for zone area, measured area, or calculated area. I don't know what's the difference with this in ArchiCAD. We have calculated area and measured area. It's always baffles me. I don't know why there are two. And then what else can we extract? We can extract the perimeter, the wall perimeters. We can extract there are a lot of stuff that we can do. The gross perimeter or the net perimeter, depending on what you want to do. Okay, we can go for another one that I'm looking for is the volume. The volume, it doesn't have it here. Or we can go for the number of columns, number of beams, number of, okay, these are not important. I think I can use the general parameter. A general parameter for the volume, which is this, and then another general parameter for the height, which is that. Okay, so and then you can arrange this according to your preference, because I would want the zone number to start and then the zone name to be there. Maybe I would want the height to be next to the zone. I can just scroll using these two little arrows, just scroll vertically like that to rearrange this the way I want, and then you can hit OK. So if you go back here under elements, expand this, you'd find the schedule has been listed here. If you open it, you would get all the data that you be looking for. So I can double click to the margins of the column so that I can fit in information, just like in Excel spreadsheet. So double click to fit in your data within the columns like that. And the good part of this schedules is interactive. I can override this the way I want. I can just say, instead of a zone number, I can say ID. Let me just say, or code, right? And then I would say the name should be the description. something like this, and then I can double click the margin to fit in that, and then the height I could say in brackets, and then in meters, but this shows this is in millimeters, right? It's double click to fit in the info. Wall parameter, we don't have walls, so I'm going to get rid of the, okay, go back to the scheme settings here to get rid of the wall parameter. So like that, remove, then hit OK. And area, instead of calculated area, I would say just area, then in brackets meter squared, but it looks like this is millimeters, right? Yeah, this is in millimeters, but I like to measure area in meter squared, so I can just say meter squared for now, and then go change the area units so that it can be in meter squared, because I can see here it's in millimeters. So this will be the perimeter. Perimeter. Oh, sorry. I want to match. Then volume. I also going to say volume. Then in brackets cubic meters. Close brackets. Okay, to address this issue of this, because our volume is supposed to be measured in cubic meters and then area is supposed to be in meter squared. To address this is to save this under view map, right? Let's go to the view map, and then I'm going to collapse majority of this. I can save it under site, it's fine. Let's just create, you go down below here under this above the properties, you have this 4 icons. We have the first one which is says save current view. I'll save this current view, and then the layer combination is fine under the site, and then the name is fine under building. So I just say create. But one thing that I needed to do under that settings, the view settings, you can select it and then go back below by clicking on the settings, right? You can still access that here. What I need to do is to go here under the 2D and 3D document. You see here I say in plane meters. So we need to save or modify this in a code. You see we have different types of unit standards here. So let's go to our options, project preferences, and then under dimensions, right? And then I want to override this select dimension type. I'll select this and then say this is going to be measured in square meters, right? Then change the decimal to be 0, and then I want the volume. Where is the volume? I want the volume. I can just use this arrow to access other parameters, like area units is going to be in square meters, is fine. They said we want 0 decimal. Cubic meter with 0 decimal. Okay. Length we want to be 0 decimal as well. So what else again can we do? 0, and then we store. We need to store. For this time I'll say site. I'll just say site dimensions, okay, and then hit OK and apply. So by default, you see now it's been applied. We have a proper units. I don't know why it's taking time. Yes, you can also come here under the settings of this view, then change the units to be a site so that it can address they to be permanently assigned to that. So now we have appropriate units, which is great. Okay, so that's basically the information that we can extract from our zone in 3D. And then the other thing is we can also place some slabs and represent the levels within this tower. For example, let's go here, and then I would say slab, activate the slab tool under design tool palettes. Then I'll just place the slab by holding key, spacebar key to activate your spacebar, what you call your magic wand tool. Then click on this, so you have something like that. It looks huge. I can select the zone and then maybe offset it so that we can have access to this slab. So let's set the height of the slab to be 200. This is the thickness of the floor slab, and then I'm gonna run a multiple copy vertically that will represent the levels or the floor levels of this by just clicking on multiply. And this time around, because we're doing it on 3D, we want to elevate this, and then we're gonna set the elements according to their home story by elevation. So this is very key because each slab will be keyed into an appropriate level in terms of the story within your ArchiCAD. So I'm gonna hit OK, or you can just say I want them to be spread, but it's fine. Let's just use increment and spread. Hit OK. Then I would start by 1 and then identify or determine the distance between this. It's going to be the height of the story, which is 3 meters. And I can run it like that all the way. Perfect. Stuff like this. And then I can make sure you group these elements. I can't emphasize this anymore. So grouping elements is very important because elements that are on the same parameters. So let's bring back our zone to the place like that. So yeah, that's basically how you can manipulate these things. I know you can do a lot, but for the sake of this demonstration, I want just to give you an idea on how you can play around with your site. Yes, and then there's the other of doing the for existing building, doing the site. Okay, we have a paving here, which is the parking, blah blah blah. We can still achieve that if you go to the floor plan view and then activate the slab tool. For this time around, for this slab, let's change the surface to be a paving, right? Let's just find a paving. Asphalt light is fine. Then the structure is fine as a basic. The height of this should be 200 because it's just a paving. Hit OK, and then I'm going to use the geometry method of polygonal so that I can trace over my paving like that. I guess this is the entrance of the basement. You could see here we have access again to the basement from the side as well. It's impressive. Then this, we can make it go along the road. Then I can modify the edges or modify the geometry for this and here, so that we can have something like this. This should be at 0, maybe minus 200. Stuff like that. Okay, so you could have this in areas even on your site as well, but I just wanted to give you an idea how to furthermore enhance your site. And then the other issue is the trees as well. So if you say go to the floor plan view. I'm going to show you one of the important objects to use for trees for this demonstration. So if you activate the object tool and then change this to be, because I was dealing with site, I'm going to find a site and landscape general, open its settings. What we want here is to find trees, search for tree, and I'm going to go with this conceptual tree model. I'm thinking of designing or creating an object. I have a lot of ideas on how we can create an elegant looking trees for 3D, most especially for this purpose of site concept presentations. So what I need to do is to change. You can change the resolution, but for this case, I don't want to embed or image or increase the size of the file for this. So I'll just leave the way as it is. Hit OK. Then you can represent these trees accordingly. So this one looks huge. I can change the height to be 12 meters and then the canopy to be 10 meters. Make sure you block it like this. So if you check on 3D, you would have something like that. That's because these are very key, guys, because you can schedule and assign coding to these trees and have information that will be relevant, that you say this such and such a tree, you want to keep it, this you want to get rid of it. It is very important to have this information. I've worked in a lot of projects where it is a refurbishment and you find the dealing with information that is not accurate because the surveyor didn't get all the trees accurately. But here we're representing things the way they are. Here it's a bush. How can you do a bush? So maybe I can do something like this, or increase the size of some of this. Maybe have a canopy of 15,000 millimeters. The height of the canopy is something like that. Then you have something like this all over your site. I'll pick parameters of this one, have another one there, have another one there, have another one here, we have another one there, we have a big tree here, we have these ones that are bulking somewhere there. And then we can schedule this information because it's important in our site. We need to understand the sizes of these trees, the height, stuff like that. So to do that, I'll go again here, right click on this schedule and then go to the scheme settings. I'm going to create a new schedule again. This will be the I just said TR and say tree schedule. The idea here, guys, is to give you the highlight on how you can schedule almost anything in ArchiCAD. So the element type is going to be objects, right? It's going to be an object tool, and I can also use a layer. By the look of things, we only used objects for the trees for this site now. So we can always have a criteria of just an object, right? And then when it comes to the columns of our schedule, we can say we want the ID of this tree. It's going to be a general parameter for the ID. We can find what you call the, let's say, the library part name, or maybe a description. We can find a description by going to, let's just find a description by going to under properties here, and then I'll find let's say object or lamp. Under object or lamp we have no, I want the properties under product info. Sorry, what I'm looking for is the model. Okay, so I'm gonna add this, and then I will have the quantity, maybe size, right? Let's have a size. I'll have a general parameter for the size or height. We want the height of the tree. We want the height of a tree. What else can we do? Again, we would want the quantity of these trees, but the quantity we can just say, okay, yes, we can add a quantity, a general parameter for quantity, because we want to group that are on the same height, but it's impossible to do that because I don't think you can. Yes, I think let's get rid of this. What we can do is to have a total. We can have a total of this, a total of that. It doesn't show us the total unless we have a quantity. Let's bring back the quantity, and then we have a total, right? Then hit OK. So if you go back to the elements, you'd find our tree schedule is there. So these are all the trees that we have. In total it's 66 trees, and these are all the heights. The great part of this, we can modify this schedule. For example, instead of having one height, those that are on the, we can add the width. Let me just add the width so that I can show you something. I'll add a general parameter for the width, which is this, and then scroll it, put it right under the height, on the top of the height, and then hit OK. So from here, what we want to do, those that are 15 meters wide, we want to increase their height, because you cannot have a tree that is in the same the tree that is on a bigger crown and then on the same height with the smaller tree. So this will be maybe, let's say 20 meters. Okay, I'll say 20 meters. I'll copy this, paste in other ones. I'm not gonna do all of them, so I'm just gonna show you, want to show you the difference. And then if you check on 3D, you would see we have now trees that are higher than the others. Okay, great. So same applies to this one. We can do as well as maybe this, yeah, some random. Check on 3D. Yeah, perfect. I hope you get the idea, guys, how you can manipulate data in your 3D. So you could see we have the IDs for this object, so each is unique according to its thing. So you can have the model here, which is the description. So if you go to, for example, if I say I can identify this tree within the jungle, so let's go on the 3D and select this. So this is the tree that we've identified. We can assign it a name according to what's on the ground. So for example, let's open its settings, and then under the classification and properties, we have the model section. Under the product info is not available here. I'll show you the other one that you can also use. For example, if it doesn't really, you see here we have a renovation status that you can say this tree we're gonna demolish it, or we keep it, or it's existing, or it's a new tree. That is important. So all these trees, this one for say, I'm gonna say we're keeping it. If we say existing, it means we are keeping it. If we say to be demolished, we're removing it, right? So now what I need to do in order for me to access the parameter of giving it a name, so I need to say go to property manager, under properties manager, because I've realized so So we need to find the classification of this element first. They are under building element proxy. So if you go to properties manager, you'd see this model. I want that the parameter we just added to our schedule, which is the model, it's under product info. It's under product info. Where is product info? It's there on this list. Maybe it's at the top. It's here. So I'm going to select this parameter and then say it should be availability for classification, because it should be available for, let me say, edit. Then I'm going to check or going to search for the one that we just said, building element proxy, which is this classification. Then hit OK, then apply. Okay, changes. And then if you come here under settings, you'd find we have this. Okay, we have the element, model element. Okay, so that's basically what I want to do. Or you can just add a description parameter instead of just add a model. So if we say, let's go back to property manager and then add within the product info, let's add new property within this group. Okay, then we're going to say this property will be called tree name, or just name. Let's just say name. Okay, the value of this will be just a string. A string means you can just type anything on it, right? Then hit OK. So I forgot to avail it with the building element. Let me say custom edit. It should be also available for building element proxy, which is this classification. Hit OK, apply. If you go back to your what you call, so even this one, you see, I can even add value, but I want that one I just created. So I'm gonna get rid of the model, remove, add. Under product info, we have the name parameter. Now we can edit and then bring it at the top, just below the ID. Then hit enter. I can now assign my tree names. So I can identify this tree on 3D, which is this. Go back here, assign it a name. This will be we have a famous tree called Mopani this side. Yes, so if you go back here and go to the settings of this tree, you would find it has a parameter of a name and then the name of that tree. That's powerful. So I just wanted to show you the possibilities that you can have when it comes to scheduling, using data parameters in ArchiCAD to really communicate more onto your project. So in the next session, that's the last session, which is going to be converting this information into a presentable format. We can either use a 3D documents like I mentioned before, and in conjunction with 2D tools to annotate and communicate this in a better fashion. So to do that, let's say this 3D window or 3D visualization tools are very important, because what we want here is to either use axonometric, but I want to go here under 3D projection settings, and then what I want is to change the parallel projections to perspective settings, and then change this. I want just this isometric axonometric, right? That is has 30 and 30 degrees, and then the azimuth of 90 degrees, and then hit OK. So if you zoom out, it will give you this kind of a neat presentation axonometry. So I'm gonna right click here and then convert this into a 3D document. Okay, let's right click, convert this into a new 3D document. I'll just say create. You can give it a name if you want. For the sake of this, I'll just leave it there. So this basically the 3D documents, and then we have, it's been listed here, but automatically to be selected there. So I'm gonna right click on it and then access the 3D document settings. Under the settings, we want to access the model appearance section. On this section, I want to make sure the shadows are active. And then the uncut elements, let's go for the surface color fill, non-shaded. And then we're gonna move down. Instead of using the shadow fill pen as this, I'm gonna go with a black pen so that it can be visible nicely on 50%. Okay, so the sun settings will be relatively in 3D projection settings, because remember we set the altitude and longitude of our site, so this will be the exact shadows according to the weather conditions of my site. So I'm gonna hit OK to apply that. So you would have this kind of information that you can manipulate further and create nice site presentations. The first one is to maybe throw some let me just show you the possibilities. If you go to document tools, you can start now adding some lines. You know, you'd want to maybe communicate something, maybe the wind direction, how it travels within your site, and then you can select this and then activate the arrowhead for this, maybe to this direction. Okay, change the size of the arrowhead to maybe make it 60. Oh, it goes this way. I wanted it to go this direction, so I'm gonna change it to this. Okay, you can also change this the type of the arrow depending on what you want. So in this case, let me leave it at 80 or even 100, because just to 100, not 1000, just to have it exaggerated like that. And then this can be a dotted line, or maybe dashed line. We're working on, we should be changing the scale, should be 1:500, right? So to do that, we need to come here under 3D documents and set the settings of this to 1:500. I'm moving fast, but if you want a separate video for this, guys, let me know in the comment section. 1:500. Other things are missing, and then here we need to go back to the settings and make sure this, we are under a site layer combination. Okay, then this, I'm going to make a vibrant color. Maybe, what do you think? No, red is not dominant, something like this. And I don't know, the dashed, I want for a bigger scale. For 500, I want a bigger dash long. Yes, this is better. This is better. I can even reduce the size of this to 80, something like, because I'm using a different scale, so to determine the size of my leaders. Okay, so stuff like this. And you could want to show your, let me say, if you go to view on screen, you can show the true line weights, right? Because I want to have these leaders on a thicker line weight instead of 1. Let me go for 0.35, something like this. And then I would want to have the elements on one color, so I'm gonna go here on a 3D documents and set uniform color pens for uncut elements, which is going to be either gray or black. So don't know which one would work much better. Perfect, this would work much better. And then you can also place some annotations as well. So I could go here under documents and then label, and open the settings of the label. Let's go for, I'll just go for property label, right? This is just basically the ID, and then I'll go down here under pointer, activate the pointer. Yes, activate. Let me leave it the way it is. Go to symbol. So symbol label settings. I want to activate the frame or the shape. So in order for it to active, you have to go to the text style and then activate the frame. You now see the frame is now active. I will go with the default one, hit enter. I can place label to my buildings like that, even to zones. I'll do the same. Stuff like this. And then I can select all the labels, maybe change the size of the text to be 20. Oh, so 20 is too much. Let's say, yes, 20 is fine. It's only that the labeling has too many, the ID has too many parameters. I can just have one parameter. For example, I could say this one should be, the ID of it should be building 01, which is that, this 02, or I could select all the slabs, for example, and then, but no, I could select 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then I'll say documents, listing and extract. Okay, it doesn't have element ID. I don't know why it's not active. There's something wrong. There's something selected. Okay, let me say 02. Under ID properties, I will say this one is 02, and this will be 03. Then this will be 03, 04, 05. Stuff like this. And then these are zones, right? We have to change the labeling. I'm gonna change, oh sorry, instead of just using this label, I'm gonna change it to, let's select it and open the settings, go to type and preview, and then find the zone label. Instead of that, you can use the zone label, and then we can add or open its settings to add the pointer to this zone label. Make it show it's 90 degrees, hit enter. So you see it's bending like this. We can change this, go to symbol label projections. No, it's under symbol label, and make sure the angle here is 90 degrees. So your label will be like that, and I can move it right at the top like that, and go to the symbol label projections. We want just to show the number except the zone name and the area. We don't want, we just want the number. And we can also change the frame, but the frame is fine like this. We can just leave it as it is like that. You see, now we need to have, I don't know why this, yes, we should have it like that. Pick parameters, inject, move it to there. Oh sorry, move it to there. Stuff like this, and then we can make it a nice presentation. Let me just say I want to make everything red in terms of these labels. Change everything to red, okay. I don't know why I didn't change this slab to 05. Okay, so that's basically it, and you can play around, and then you can use again the graphic override combinations to control the quality of or the type of your presentation. So for example, if you go for a simplified, it will convert everything into white and then have this kind of elements. And then within this, what we can do, because we have a white base, we can set a rule to exclude the annotations. For example, let's click on this point, and then I'm going to say under the all cut fields should be solid black, because this is the rule that controls everything to be black and solid. So I'm going to edit this rule, and then I'm going to add a parameter or criteria, for example, for the element type. Then I'll edit, then say is not, this is going to be the labels. I'm going to add another one again, maybe a couple of them. Yes, because I have also the lines. I have also the polyline spline tool. What else do I have? Yes, for the sake of this, just for now, you can add as many as you can. Let me remove this one, and then you need to say end here in order for it to work. So this is supposed to be is not as well. So basically what I'm saying here is all element types should be overridden with these parameters. So the line marker will be black, the fill type will be this foreground, hide skin separators, fill foreground with this elements. So I'm saying exclude these two, the label and then the spline tool, because they're the ones that I'm using for annotations and stuff like that within my presentation. If you hit OK and then hit OK, this should be excluded. You see now we have that. So yeah, that's basically it, guys, for this demonstration. I really hope you've grasped a lot of elements that you can use it to optimize your workflow. If you made it to this far, I really thank you so much. I appreciate your effort. Check the link below to access all the resources that we have, and then access the files that we've been using to demonstrate our tutorial, our video with. I really appreciate, like I said, if you haven't subscribed, please, that's the only way you can support this channel. Subscribe and then share this with those you feel will benefit from this type of video. So cheers, I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.